Right now, you're probably on something, not in a bad way, coffee, a drink, something that takes the edge off after a long day. Maybe you're mid-cigarette. Maybe you took something to help you sleep. Maybe you just had one beer and told yourself it was definitely just one. Whatever it is, you probably didn't think twice about it. But here's the thing. That impulse, the desire to slightly change the way your brain is working right now, is not a modern habit. It's not a symptom of stress or boredom or the internet. It goes back further than agriculture, further than language, further than the first fire ever deliberately lit. In fact, it predates modern humans entirely. Because the story of humans getting high doesn't start with a college party or a 1960s counterculture movement or even the first winemaker in ancient Mesopotamia. It starts about 10 million years ago on a forest floor in Africa with a small primate picking up a piece of fruit that had been sitting on the ground for too long. And what happened next changed the course of human history in ways that science is still figuring out. In 2014, a biologist at UC Santa Cruz named Robert Dudley published a book called The Drunken Monkey. His argument was simple. When fruit falls from a tree and sits on the ground, the natural sugars inside it start breaking down. Yeast gets in, fermentation begins, and the fruit starts producing small amounts of ethanol. And when our primate ancestors ate that fruit, the ethanol inside made them feel a little different, a little warmer, a little looser. They had no idea why, but it felt good, so they kept coming back for it. Over millions of years, the ancestors that could smell and metabolize ethanol had an advantage. Fermented fruit was riper fruit. More calories, more sugar, better food. The ones who followed the smell survived better. So by the time modern humans actually showed up, by the time we had language and fire and tools, the draw toward mind-altering substances wasn't something we developed. It was something we inherited, built into the DNA by millions of years of selection. We didn't develop a taste for getting high, we were born with it. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because most people assume that ancient humans, the ones running from predators and hunting mammoths, were too busy surviving to think about this stuff. That assumption falls apart the second you look at the evidence, not slowly, immediately. In 2020, archaeologists excavating an ancient Israelite shrine called Tel Arid found something nobody expected. Cannabis residue on the altar stone, nearly 2,700 years old. In western China, researchers found ancient braziers containing burned high-THC cannabis from over 2,500 years ago. Peyote has been discovered in ritual sites in the Americas dating back more than 5,000 years. And humans were cultivating opium poppies in Europe around 7,000 years ago. Here's what's remarkable about all this. These aren't isolated incidents. Evidence of psychoactive substances appears across different continents, different cultures, and different periods of history again and again and again. Ancient humans were not accidentally getting high, they were doing it deliberately. The real question is why. So what exactly were ancient humans using to get high? Almost everything they could find. Fermented alcohol was probably the oldest and most universal. Fruit ferments naturally, honey ferments naturally, grain ferments naturally. Ancient humans likely discovered alcohol simply by eating or drinking things left sitting too long. Then there was cannabis, mushrooms, peyote, opium, tobacco. If a plant could alter human consciousness, humans probably experimented with it. But these substances usually weren't used casually. In many ancient cultures, they were connected to rituals, healing ceremonies, religious experiences, and trance states. To ancient humans, these weren't just drugs, they were tools. And then there's the theory that completely changes the way we think about civilization itself, the beer before bread hypothesis. Archaeologist Patrick McGovern has argued that humans may not have invented farming just for food. They may have invented it because they wanted a reliable supply of alcohol. At ancient sites like Göbekli Tepe, archaeologists discovered massive stone vats containing fermented grain residue. People were brewing there in huge amounts. Large groups likely gathered for ritual feasts and drinking long before civilization officially existed. Which leads to one of the strangest ideas in archaeology. Human civilization may not have been built because we wanted bread, it may have been built because we wanted beer. And honestly, That sounds exactly like something humans would do. Here's the strange part. Your brain already contains systems that interact with many of these substances. Humans have cannabinoid receptors, opioid receptors, serotonin receptors. Not because of drugs, because your brain naturally produces chemicals that work with those systems already. The compounds in cannabis, mushrooms, and other psychoactive plants simply interact with pathways the brain already had. These substances didn't hack the human brain. They found doors that were already there, and ancient humans understood something modern society forgot for a very long time. That these substances were powerful, useful, even medicinal under the right conditions. Today, researchers at places like Johns Hopkins University and Imperial College London are studying psychedelics again for depression, trauma, anxiety, and addiction. Modern science is slowly rediscovering what ancient humans may have understood thousands of years ago. So here's the full picture. Millions of years ago, one of your primate ancestors picked up a piece of fermented fruit from the forest floor and discovered a completely different mental state. And ever since then, humans have been trying to recreate that feeling. The plants changed, the rituals changed, the cups got fancier. But the impulse stayed the same. And if you want to go deeper into the research, studies, and archaeological evidence behind all this, I've linked everything down below in the description. Because the history of humans getting high turns out to be much older and much stranger than most people realize.